recently my business hit $10 million in all-time sales, which is wild to me to say because I started this whole thing out as a side hustle Etsy shop. So here are 8 things that I did that really helped me grow my business from the side hustle it once was to the 16-woman, $10 million operation that it is today. If you're not familiar with my business, I started out on my 18th birthday selling hand-painted canvases on Etsy with absolutely no intention of taking it full-time or making it a business. In fact, I did that on the side while I went to college, got my master's, went to law school. My business just really blew up while I was in law school, and as soon as I graduated, I took it full-time, got new commercial leases, opened a storefront, got a warehouse, hired a bunch of employees, and now we're at over $10 million in revenue. I would say there's about 8 major things that I did that really helped my business grow. Number 1, I would say you don't have a business at all if you don't have a good product. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. And when I say good product, I'm not saying you need to invent something. I sell mostly like stickers and notebooks and Kindle cases and desk mats and stuff. I didn't really invent anything in particular. If anything, I would say what I created obviously was my artwork. I've created a lot of art over the past many years. Some of it sucked and some of it really resonated with people. And so I've leaned in to the good sort of designs, and overall I've curated a group of floral prints mostly that people seem to really like. And I think that is responsible for a lot of the success of the business. Obviously, a good product isn't enough, but it is necessary while not sufficient, as we would always say in law school. Without a good product, you can't go anywhere, but with a good product, you still need 100 more things to really make something out of it. Number 2 is somewhat related, but product variety has been really crucial for me. So obviously there are businesses out there that do fantastic creating one thing and selling it like bananas. But for me, I have tried tons of different designs, tons of different products, and there's just been some that have worked and some that haven't, and I have gone with the ones that worked. And over time, that means I've built up a catalog of successful products, but I still have a very wide breadth of products. So I have like 500 sticker designs, and I still sell thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of stickers per year. And that helps bring in a lot of revenue for me. But I think without all of those options, it would be harder for customers to find me. And then even if they do find me and they like my stickers, sometimes they say, oh, I really love this sticker. And then they realize I have desk mats and Kindle cases and notebooks and planners. And then they buy more than just a sticker. So obviously I would not be bringing in this amount of revenue with just stickers, but I also wouldn't be bringing in this amount of revenue with just desk mats either. And I certainly wouldn't be bringing in this much revenue with only one design of each of these items. Like if I just had a pink floral desk mat, then people who don't like pink aren't going to buy from me and they're not going to buy a desk mat. So I've tried to really cater to as many people as I can while also staying true to my brand identity, which is my artwork. So I think having just all of those options helps make customers who are interested more likely to purchase and more likely to purchase multiple items and more likely to come back when I release something new. And that's been really crucial for me. Number 3 is putting the customer first, which sounds like just some cheesy thing that you'd hear in like some business advice video. But I'm not saying like when you come in contact with a customer, you should completely defer to them, blah, 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 blah. No, what I'm saying is when you have a customer and something goes wrong with their order, you take care of them because they're going to come back and they're going to care about your business and they're going to feel good about your business if you take care of them, but also not just when they purchase, when they comment on social media, when they send an email, or when they come into the store. Just treating them well, because everybody deserves to be treated well, but also listening to them, like truly listening to them. So when someone says on social media, I love your Kindle cases, but I wish that the hand strap was on the right side instead of the left side, I listened. And I think that's really set my Kindle cases apart because there's lots of cases out there, but not all of them have the strap on the right side. And I learned that you can tap the screen on the right side of the Kindle to turn the page. So that made all the sense in the world, but I wouldn't have known that as a non-Kindle user myself. And same thing with my desk mats. Like I would have never introduced desk mats in the first place had I not listened to the social media comments asking for them when I released my mouse pads. I just didn't even know they were a thing. And I feel like, honestly, I was not seeing desk mats really anywhere. And since I've had my desk mats go viral on TikTok like 10 times now and get probably like 30 million views total, I've been seeing more and more other stores selling desk mats in addition to me. So I'm not saying I created the trend by any means, but I definitely harnessed a trend that was happening at the right time and like was on the forefront of it, because I have sold so many of these desk mats, and that's because of my customers suggesting it. Also, they wanted a smaller size, they wanted more designs, so that's something that I've introduced over time as well. So listening to my customers in their product suggestions, their product design suggestions, their requests for designs. I used to have mostly pink and orange patterns, and then I started introducing blue and purple, and now I have a full rainbow, which has helped a lot with just, appealing to more customers and also making my brand cuter, in my opinion. So just taking care of customers and really listening to them. I obviously have a vision for how my business is going to go, but I also try to really have my suggestions and my customers sort of guide it, because they're the ones who are going to be purchasing the products if they're made, and it would be kind of goofy to make most products without having like any sort of preconceived interest. So that's definitely helped. Number 4 is having personable, trustworthy marketing. So I've always tried to make my marketing as sort of like friendly and approachable as possible. I don't really focus my marketing on like, here is a product, and if you buy it, it'll change your life. It's more like, follow along with my journey, and if you see something you like, then I'd love for you to try it out and enjoy it. But I just don't think it would work for me. Like, again, I didn't really invent anything other than the prints, and I think that they speak for themselves. So I think my prints are beautiful, and I know a lot of my customers do too, but that's something that they can just see in my videos. So if I tell them and force it down their throat, like, these are the most beautiful prints you've ever seen, and this desk mat's going to change everything for you, I just don't think that would work. Instead, I just sort of put out there my experiences, show what it's like to run a small business, show what products I'm making, show what art I'm making, show what goes into making the art, and I think it's just a lot more approachable and interesting and relatable. And so I think that has helped with my marketing versus trying to tell people why they need something. Because to be honest, like, none of my products are in need. They just make your life a little bit better because they're pretty and functional. So I think being sort of aware of that versus like traditional sort of, if you're marketing something purely functional, like, why is this particular knife block going to make dinner so much better for you? Like, okay, that would work because maybe you have sharper knives or something, but that's not really the scenario here. Of course, I think my products are great quality, but there's only so much you can say about how much thicker my paper is. I think just really connecting with customers and also making them understand that, like, if you buy something from me online, it's not like you're just throwing your money into like a black hole of the internet. You're actually going to see me pack the order and send it to you. You've seen my boxes online, so when it shows up at your door, you know exactly who it's from. And I think that's really been a huge part of my business and like is foundational to my business model. Something that is completely different from many businesses like mine is that I do all my own in-house fulfillment. So I didn't even think twice about it, honestly, especially because I started out selling just stickers. There's this thing called 3PL or third-party fulfillment. And there are companies out there where you can have your product made by your manufacturer, shipped to someone else's warehouse, and then they fulfill your orders for you, and you just have to like sync up your online store with the third-party fulfillment system. And I never did that. I always have packed and fulfilled all my own orders, but a lot of small businesses don't do that. So like when you see me running around my warehouse, that might be like a little bit surprising because obviously there are people out there with their own warehouses and small businesses like that, but there's a lot of small businesses where you'll never see their warehouse because it's a third-party facility that they aren't responsible for, which is great and a totally viable business model. But I think my business has grown a lot because I don't use third-party fulfillment. Like I said, I started out with stickers, and third-party fulfillment usually charges per piece. So it wasn't practical for me to be charged per piece on such a small product that wasn't very expensive. My stickers would have had to been like $4 or $5 to justify that expense. So I just packed them myself. And then when I introduced new products, I hired people to pack all of those for me as well. So everybody is under my roof for the most part. It's really fun because we have a great community together, but it's also quite frankly, a lot less expensive than paying a third-party facility. It's just harder. Like, it takes a lot more work. Obviously, like, if there's a leak in the roof, we have to figure that out. If there's a goose in the parking lot so none of the trucks can get through, we have to figure that out. It's currently happening. We should get some footage of it. So there's a lot more that goes into it, and there's a lot more that we're responsible for. But in the end, I have larger margins than if I had a third-party fulfillment center. Well, I guess I shouldn't say larger, because really it's like I have X number of dollars that are constant every month that I have to make, and then everything after that is more just like future investment money, versus at a third-party fulfillment, you have more costs coming off of each order, so you don't get as much out of doing more volume. So volume is the goal for us because it means that we end up making more, versus third-party fulfillment. Obviously, if you make more volume, then you make more profit, but it doesn't increase exponentially by any means. So I think that's just different, and it's helped me reinvest more. Obviously, more profit means more goes back into the business. I reinvest almost everything that we make to grow the business because I believe in it and I want it to keep growing. Having that in-house fulfillment has been different, and I think a pretty important factor for me. 6 is I have multiple revenue streams. Many multiple revenue streams. I started out just with Etsy. Then I got my own website, started on wholesale. I had a couple of wholesale platforms for a while there, but now it's mainly just Fair. Obviously, I do wholesale through my own website. I also added a rep group that brings in wholesale orders for us, so that's kind of a new revenue stream too. We have TikTok Shop, and then we have all the various social media platforms that direct people to the website, so Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We also have Pinterest. We have Google ads, we have paid Instagram ads, we have paid TikTok ads, we have paid YouTube ads. Gosh, Amazon, that's new. We'll see how that goes. So we're going to the trade shows now, and that brings in new revenue from meeting people there. I have licensing. It's pretty minor, but brings in $1,000 here and there, so that's fun. There's just a lot of different places where we are bringing in customers and bringing in dollars, and having that, it means if TikTok gets banned, God forbid, we have something to fall back on. And it also means every time that like a new revenue source opens up, it means several thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of new revenue that can be then reinvested to grow the business more. So the multiple revenue streams has been crucial, because if one's down, maybe the other's up, but also that's pretty much how we've grown. We've sold more on our website over time, but we've also just added new places where dollars are coming in. A big thing has really, for me, been leaning into what has worked and discontinuing what hasn't. So I actually probably do a worse job of this than some businesses. I think there's a lot of people who focus on even fewer products. Obviously, I have thousands of SKUs at this point. I have desk mats, I have Kindle cases, I have planners, I have notebooks, I have headbands and glass magnets and magnetic bookmarks and regular bookmarks and stickers and everything, and I have 20 SKUs, if not many more, for all of those individual products. So you multiply that together, you get 2,000 something individual products. There's a lot of businesses out there that are like, okay, I'm going to focus on releasing a new product line. I'll put 5 SKUs out there, and then the 2 that are winners get to stay and the other 3 go. And there's definitely some merit to that for me, because basically I would say I reinvest a lot of my profit into the business. If something doesn't sell right away, it's not a huge problem for me. I don't mind having excess inventory. Sometimes there's too much and I have lots of clearance sales to deal with that. But I like having options. So when someone comes to the website, they have a better experience shopping, because even though Painted Lemons may not be my most popular tea towel, there's someone out there that has a lemon-themed kitchen that's going to buy when they otherwise wouldn't have, because we have that lemon-themed tea towel. Same thing with wholesalers. There's like some people who don't want florals at all, and so maybe they'll buy Painted Lemons, or maybe they'll shop our holiday collection. And so I try to have a little something for everybody within reason. But if there's a flop, I cut it and I run as much as I can. There's no reason to keep around a true flop. And so I think I've done a decent job of discontinuing the things that just don't work and kind of moving along from there. I'm also a huge fan of deep discounts, so I have grab bags and I have like flash sales every once in a while, because I just don't want to put out, a clearance on my pillows and only like 5 people buy the 200 that are left. I'd rather just sell them for $20 and get them all gone, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. We don't have to store them. So a little bit of that has been out of necessity, because we have run out of warehouse space several times at our previous place. So it was sort of like, we just don't have the room for this anymore. But I think it's important to kind of focus, even though that seems a little contradictory to variety, but there's kind of a cutoff point you have to establish for yourself and your business, and then say, if it's not selling above this point, it's over and maybe we'll come back to it in the future. But if it's at least doing something for us, I can imagine a customer that's buying who otherwise wouldn't because of this one product, then it can stay. So just kind of being selective and strategic about the products that are out there and not being afraid to completely get rid of something when it's flopping. Last but not least, kind of ties in with that, giving yourself space to grow. When I first started my commercial lease adventure journey, I had my tiny little 1,000 square foot upstairs sort of office space. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this space? People online were like, you should rent it out to other people. And I was like, I'll probably use it eventually. And I sure did, within a year, actually. And we had to leave that commercial lease early because we didn't have space anymore. Same thing happened at the next place, and hopefully it does not happen here.
It's going to happen here.
I felt like this place was too big, the one we're in now, when I signed the lease. It's $20,000 a month in expenses plus, and that feels extreme. And when I realized that, I was stressed. But that's for 4 years. My business has grown 30 to 40% year over year. So that's going to be a lot less, relatively speaking, to my full yearly revenue 3 years from now. So you kind of have to be prepared and willing to take a risk like that. Leases are scary because you're locked in and there's nothing you can do really to get out of them. But also there's a degree of having faith in yourself and also thinking about, okay, well, if I don't give myself enough space, how much am I losing out on? Because at our last place, there were so many things I couldn't do because we were confined in that smaller space. So I think it's almost like that cliche of like, well, what's the best that could happen? So you have to think a little bit like, if in the best case scenario, if I don't give myself more space, am I going to be screwed then? Instead of always thinking about, in the worst case scenario, am I going to be screwed because there's too much space? So I'm actually really glad when I opened Mill and Meadow. This is kind of lore that I haven't dropped before too much, but I had like a 800 or 900 square foot little storefront. And then I realized like, we keep running out of room in all of our spaces. Maybe I should ask for the space across the courtyard and get the 1,700 square foot space. That's what we did, and we are utilizing it. So I'm really happy with that decision, and this is advice for myself as much as it is for anyone else. Like, I need to have faith that the business will keep growing, and we have to keep trying at least to give ourselves more opportunities to continue to grow. So give yourself space. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope these tips are helpful. Please let me know if you have any more questions, anything that you want to hear about in particular that is related to my business journey. I have 2 more parts to share with you about taking my business from a side hustle Etsy shop to a $10 million business. So please subscribe and don't forget to like this video.